kick off what you think people will get out of the book when it comes to understanding modern day America.
Well, I picked ancient Thebes, the end of Carthage, the capture of Constantinople, the destruction of Christendom in Asia Minor, and then the fall of the Aztecs. And they all were very similar. All of these targeted places and empires and cities thought they were still robust, even though by any outside measure they were in decline. They were very naive. They thought that if they revolted or went to war against a stronger power, either allies would be on the horizon to help them, or something magically would happen to reinforce their defense. They had no appraisal of the type of people they were facing, an Alexander the Great or Scipio or Hernan Cortez or the Sultan Mehmet in the case of Constantinople, who really wanted to destroy them. I don't mean, and these are not destructions, Megyn, where they're Genghis Khan or Tamerlane. They sweep in, they kill everybody, rape the women, take the slaves, and leave. They systematically destroy the civilization. They destroy the infrastructure. They enslave any survivors. They kill all the people. They wipe out the language, the religion, and in 30 or 40 years, these places don't exist, and there's no memory of them, really. And when I look at the modern world, it was very strange that all the people on the contemporary scene who make these threats, we like these targeted cities, and they're very rare. I mean, most times you lose a war, you don't get completely erased from history and your existence destroyed. But when we hear what the Iranian mullahs say about Israel as a one-bomb state, or it will no longer exist, and it's good to have all the Jews in one place because they can take them out with it. And we think that's ridiculous. Or I think there's 25 instances where a Russian general or somebody in the Russian parliament have talked about using nuclear weapons to wipe out Ukraine because they feel it's an aberration. It doesn't exist. The same thing is true of Taiwan. And I mentioned that in the epilogue, that they've repeatedly said they wanted to destroy Taiwanese civilization. That's an aberration, that it doesn't really exist. And when I just mentioned that in the book, the Chinese publisher gave me an ultimatum: either take that out or we're going to cancel the Chinese translation.
Oh, really?
Which had been pretty, and I didn't do it, so they canceled. They were so sensitive about that. One of the strangest people is Turkey, Recep Erdogan. He's told the Athenians they're going to wake up, the capital of Greece, and see a rain of missiles. He's told us that our nuclear weapons at Isilir Air Force Base are not really ours. They've been in Turkey so long, he feels he has proprietary rights. He's threatened to wipe out Tel Aviv. He said he would handle the Armenians the way his grandfathers did, that is the Armenian genocide. And so I went through all those, and it's very funny how we all dismiss them because they are very rare occasions, and the chances that they might happen are not necessarily great, but they do happen, and I think we should take them seriously. And I don't think if you look at us compared to where Carthage was or the Byzantines, there's very similar problems. We're borrowing $1 trillion every 100 days. We're short 40,000 recruits in the military. We have an open border that's not secure. 10 million people have walked across. After Afghanistan's humiliation, the Chinese balloon, Gaza, you get the impression that we've lost all deterrence abroad. I don't think anybody ever thought that we would see the anti-Semitism on campus, sort of like the 30s in Europe. And so, but yet we just say this is just America. This is what makes it great, or this is why we're diverse. And all these platitudes are very similar to what people were saying inside the walls when they were destroyed. Or don't worry, the Romans would never do this. Nobody's ever breached the walls of Carthage, and the Macedonians will come to the rear and help us. And we're Carthaginians. We're the city of Hannibal. Didn't do much good in the 11th hour.
You write about how civilizations have collapsed over time and how they sort of march to the abyss, not necessarily knowing that it's the abyss and that, the next step could be one's last, showing how societies descend into barbarism and obliteration. And I realize those terms may seem excessive to describe America right now, but on some days, not really. So you and I have talked many times about societal rot, cultural rot, just absolute, it feels like nihilism, what we're doing to ourselves. But what would you say are the top 3 indicators that America's following that path right now?
Well, one of them is that we have destroyed the system of law, equal application of the law. And I mean that in the broadest sense. There is no federal immigration law. It's not that the border is porous. It doesn't exist. And we have 10 million people here. We all know they came in illegally. We all know they're residing illegally. And yet we're subsidizing. And if anybody said, when the medicine is seen as worse than the disease, we're in bad shape. No one will say they need to go back, the 10 million. And we'll do with the other illegal aliens later on, but at least the 10 million. And we don't, if somebody commits a violent act, they're usually in a big city out the same day. It's not that we're lax on crime. There's actual people who believe it's not a crime. So, and then when we look at Trump is going through, or the January 6th versus the May 2020 and June 2020 riders. So I think everybody feels that the law doesn't exist as blind justice, that it's applied through ideological or democratic lenses. And that's one big thing. The other is I don't think they have confidence in the military anymore. Not just that we're so short recruits, but they feel that it's ideologically biased, that it's woke. The working class white males who died double their numbers in the demographic in Iraq and Afghanistan we all counted on. We kind of demonized them. Milley and Austin did, and said they were prone to white rage and white supremacy, and they ran an investigation, and they just announced in December they found nothing, but they really turned off that demographic, and they are the ones, that demographic is why we're short 40,000. All the other demographics are joining the military at previous levels, but not that demographic. So that I'm really worried about our military, where we don't have a military production that's necessary to replace artillery, the mundane things, bullets, artillery, drones, javelins, but we're spending all this money with these defense contractors on these $200 million jets, but we need the basics in large numbers, especially if we were to go to war with China. And then I'm worried about the military, and I'm worried about the absence of rule of law. Just finish. It's financial. This debt. We're spending more money to service the debt than we are in the defense budget.
Can your savings weather an economic storm? Think about what you've put away for the future. Inflation can render cash worthless. Real estate can crash like it did in 2008. Economies built on a mountain of debt can fall like a house of cards. There are very few physical assets you can invest in that can stand the test of time. But gold is one of them. It's why many people are flocking to gold right now, and why Birch Gold is busier than ever. Through a little-known tax loophole, Birch Gold lets you convert a retirement account into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. And the best part, it does not cost you 1 cent out of pocket. To learn more, text MK to 989898 and claim your free info kit on gold. Again, can your IRA or 401k weather an economic storm? If not, consider looking into Birch Gold. Text MK to 989898 and explore securing your savings today. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.